The Mothers of Real Estate is sponsored by Streetwise Mortgages, an award-winning mortgage brokerage serving clients across Ontario. Book a complimentary consultation or learn more at streetwisemortgages.com.
Thank you for joining us today. The Mothers of Real Estate show is about inspiring and educating women, especially mothers, to explore the possibilities that real estate can offer in order to move you towards the goals that matter to you and your family, both emotionally and financially. My friends and co-hosts, Rachel Oliver and Gillian Irving, are here with me today, and we're going to discuss developing an investor mindset. So each of us know how important it is to have the right mindset when investing in real estate, especially when you're getting started.
Absolutely. And I think to some extent your mindset almost kicks in after there's something major that happens in your life. And for me, that's exactly actually what happened. As you know, about 11 years ago, I got the diagnosis of having a severe breast cancer just after my first daughter was born. So it just flipped my world upside down. I had a great career. I was the director of a marketing department. I loved my job. I was working 50, 60-hour weeks sometimes. But what I realized with that diagnosis is that I did not own my time. I had a boss who dictated when I can show up, when I can take vacations, when I can make more money. And it started to actually weigh down on me. And I felt suffocated. And for some reason, I thought real estate investing would be kind of like, oh, this is the opportunity.
And was there something about real estate investing that made you feel like that it would free you from that job somehow? What was it?
First of all, being my own boss was a critical component, but also knowing that there was no glass ceiling. It can be whatever I make it. So if I'm going to give it 150%, sometimes the boss wouldn't care or notice. But if I give it 150% for myself, I reap the benefits of that. My children, my husband, as a family would benefit from that.
There are no limits being an entrepreneur and a real estate investor. It's fantastic.
So that was my catalyst.
And so you felt like this big fear moved you in the direction of this new career?
Exactly. It shifted my priorities, and it gave me a really sound grounding as to what my purpose is in terms of what I want to do with my life and how I want to spend my time. And it was all about my family at the end of the day.
Almost always the case, isn't it?
Well, Gillian, you have an interesting story as well.
Look, it's similar to yours, Rachel, in the sense that it was a compelling medical story, not about me personally, but my third son was born. It was just such a complicated birth, and we found out when he was really young that he was legally blind, that he had a really catastrophic brain injury. My husband and I were absolutely flabbergasted and devastated. It kind of took us a while just to get him medically stable and on solid footing, which he is, by the way. But, it occurred to us when he was older that, he might not ever work independently. He might not ever work for himself. And how on earth could we possibly create a legacy for him that didn't involve me spending more hours at my job? Like, we weren't saving enough anyway. There's no more hours to work at the office. So I needed to think of something that would allow me to accelerate our savings without me having to actually clock in longer at the office. So for us, that answer, like that terrific answer, turned out to be real estate. So my why was, oh my gosh, we've got this financial thing looming down the road for us that I need a solution to, right? So that really compelled me to put the boots to the ground and figure out what my solution would be.
That's amazing.
And Monika, what was your motivation? What got you started?
Well, it was my kids. I guess it always comes down to kids here, doesn't it? Especially at the Mothers of Real Estate. But I really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And, pretty soon on my stay-at-home mom journey, I realized, it really takes 2 salaries to get by.
Right.
And it wasn't just the day-to-day costs, though. I mean, we have 4 kids. At that time, they were a lot smaller. And it wasn't just the day-to-day costs, though, which is difficult as it is. It was the future expenses. It feels
like what particular? Was there one in particular that you really thought about? What was that?
University.
Right, because you're a teacher.
I am. I have a master's in teaching. I never worked full-time teaching because I chose to stay home. But I mean, education really is important, and we really wanted to provide that for our kids.
Right.
And so this was an example how real estate not only could help create that extra cash flow so I could be a stay-at-home mom, and I have done this now. Our kids are ranging from ages 5 to 13. So I've been home for almost 14 years, which is phenomenal.
But what
if
about
it
that
wasn't for
lofty
that
goal?
cash flow and for that big long-term strategy, you know, that's what real estate really allowed us to achieve.
Did you actually do the math on what it's going to cost to put all 4 kids through university? I have only 2, so I haven't even done the math yet.
Scarily enough, yes, I did the math, and it is a big 6-figure number.
It's got to be like 300 something.
It's a little more than that even, and it depends where they go to school, but I don't want my kids to have these limits. Like if they choose to do something, I don't want them to be limited. And once again, with real estate and entrepreneurialism, there's no glass ceiling, you know?
But the question is, so it's fascinating. So you throw out these big, huge 6-figure numbers for 4 kids going to college or university. Are you on the path to achieving that with the work that you've done in real estate?
It's achieved. So then we reformulated our goal. We did the same strategy,
Already?
achieved our retirement funds, and then our most exciting achievement, 1 year ago today, my husband was able to leave his 6-figure job.
Wow.
So that's great. So you're basically starting kind of, here's where we want to be, and you're working backwards to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're talking about today, mindset. So please stay with us. After the break, we're going to bring on a phenomenal guest who will share her inspirational rags to real estate riches story. We'll be right back.
The Mothers of Real Estate is sponsored by Streetwise Mortgages, an award-winning mortgage brokerage serving clients across Ontario. Book a complimentary consultation or learn more at streetwisemortgages.com. Are you looking to build wealth through real estate? Streetwise Mortgages can help you design a financing strategy to achieve your short and long-term investment goals and set up financing in a manner that takes into consideration the legal and accounting structures relating to building wealth. Get a step closer to achieving your goals. To book your complimentary consultation, call 1-800-208-6255 or email info@streetwisemortgages.com.
Welcome back. Before our break, we were discussing our whys and how they got us started in investing in real estate. Our guest today, Tahani Aburaneh, is a self-made millionaire, and she is here to share her rags to riches story. Tahani is a real estate investor, speaker, mentor, property developer, and broker. And she's also the author of Amazon's best-selling novel, Real Estate Riches. Tahani, thank you so much for coming on our show today.
My pleasure. I'm so
good to have
excited to
you
be
here.
here
So
with all of
excited
you
to
guys.
have you
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
We've all had the honor of actually hearing your amazing, compelling, and inspirational story. And we would love if you would be able to share that with our viewers today.
Thank you. Thank you for, first of all, it's such an honor here, being here and sharing with other women. And I, as you will learn from my accent, that I was not born in Canada. I was born in Jordan, Amman, in a refugee camp. And at age 15, my whole life direction has changed because of marriage and because of moving to Canada. So I came to Canada as a young girl and went to school, of course. And after I graduated, I worked a few jobs, but not until I was 29 that I got into the real estate business. I got into the business as a realtor. And I didn't really like it too much. I would go, I would like it sometimes and sometimes not. Until one day I got an offer from an investor that wanted to buy one of the listings that I had. And that was like where I was like, oh, I love this. I want,
You're hooked.
I was really hooked.
So
yes.
what was it? Like, what was the spark that really grabbed you, Tahani?
It's the fact that there is people actually view real estate for me was as a business, of course. That's what really got me going. But what I loved about it is that you could actually generate income. And at the time I wasn't too happy with my marriage, and I was, going through a lot of hardship. But then when me and my ex-husband separated, that's when I went fully into the real estate and the real estate investing and all of that. Actually, maybe a little bit before that.
At the time,
yes,
right?
correct.
And was it about putting food on the table and providing for your family? Was that really the catalyst?
Yes, of course. But the real estate investing wasn't really about just putting the food on the table. It was me working hard on my job. And then, but I start making a lot of money. And that's when I start making money. I thought, this is real estate. There is no other way, right? But the real estate, for me and probably for you too, is that the real estate way is the way to invest the money.
We spoke about that earlier, that when you're an entrepreneur, especially in real estate, there really is no glass ceiling. Like you don't hit a ceiling that stops you. It really is sky's the limit.
100%. And what I love about real estate is that it never differentiates between men and a woman, or between you speak, fluent English or you don't speak in English, or anything. It just that, it all about what can you do to something that can give back to you at a whole lot different level than anything else.
And do you mind if I just back up a tiny bit?
Of
because
course.
I want to understand, I think for a lot of the people who start investing in real estate, so many of our viewers aren't really even at the stage where they're buying their first property yet. So here you are, we're an immigrant woman, were you newly divorced? Is it when you were young?
I actually started working with real estate investors.
Right.
And I remember, and in my book right there, I talk about my first experience with a real estate investor, of how he was a mechanic, just an average everyday kind of, type of person, mechanic, made his money out of mechanic, but he wanted to invest in real estate, and I helped him. And in 3.5 months, he went from buying this property to selling it and making $48,000. Wow. And then that's when the light went on. I'm like, oh my God, he can make $48,000, and here I am working so hard as a realtor,
Yes.
and that's where I got really hooked on the real estate investing, and I wanted to learn more and more, and I started looking for more and more education.
Right. So you trained yourself first, and then how did you get the funds to do that first deal? Was there a secret to getting that first property, or was it mostly just the training you did?
Of course, there is, even when you hear people, they say there is a secret to something, there's really no secret. It's just all common sense, right? Yeah. But what it is, I used to, at the time, there is different cycles in real estate, as I'm sure you guys are going to teach the viewers, and that is, at the time, the market was really doing very well, and I bought my first investment property. It did so good that I was able to sell it and pull out some of that money and go put it into 2 others. Right. Wow. And then it just went.
So after your first experience, you were so pumped. It was successful financially.
I'm still pumped. Right
and and emotionally, and that actually motivated you to keep going.
Yes.
But what was your biggest challenge in doing the first deal? Because that's the biggest obstacle, I think, for all of us.
100. How did your why help you get through that challenge?
Just like anything, it's one thing to read about it, and it's another thing to watch all these amazing HTV, shows to see on TV, but doing it is a total different experience, right? And you will come across challenges. But some challenges might be different for you than it is for her, than it is for me.
Just do it, Tahani, because I like those words. Stay with us as Tahani continues to share her story about real estate riches.
The Mothers of Real Estate is sponsored by Streetwise Mortgages, an award-winning mortgage brokerage serving clients across Ontario. Book a complimentary consultation or learn more at streetwisemortgages.com. Do you want to invest in real estate but are too afraid to make costly mistakes? The Mothers of Real Estate online training will give you all the tools and resources you need to take you from confused to confident investor in 7 weeks flat. Visit mothersofrealestate.com today to enroll.
Before our break, Tahani was telling us her personal story about how she overcame tremendous adversity as a refugee and a single mom and achieved financial freedom by investing in real estate.
So obviously, Tahani, there are different challenges to overcome in order to get your first real estate property under your belt. And a lot of people kind of have a list of what to do. But can you share with us 3 things that you should not do when you're trying to get into your first one?
Yes, I love that because everything is about what to do. I just wanted to go with a few things that not to do. First of all, as what you see on TV, again, I'm going to go back again to HGTVs and all of those shows.
They make it look so easy.
Don't try and do a flip for your first deal. Please don't do that because that's just a recipe for disaster because it is a lot of work and it is dealing with people, contractors, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of moving parts.
Risky.
Keep it, very, very risky. So keep it simple.
You know, so one of my mentors, Julie Broad, taught me early days, don't go chasing the shiny penny. Like find your strategy, stick with it, and then don't get distracted by all the noise that happens. It sounds like what you're suggesting is there's a lot of noise. Be really careful of the noise and don't always listen to it, right?
100%. Yes.
I think we ended up getting 4 what not to do's there, so I appreciate that.
Yes, of course.
Obviously, you're passionate about what not to do.
Oh, there's a lot of not
And there's
to do's.
even more advice
exactly.
in your amazing book, Real Estate Riches, which you've mainly written towards females, giving them advice how they could get started in investing in real estate. Now, you are such a giver. You are so philanthropic because, as I understand, all of these proceeds, the royalties from this book, actually go to an amazing charity. Can you tell us a bit more about that and why that's your charity of choice?
It's such a, oh my gosh, you know, writing this book is like birthing a baby. That's how it was for me. And English not being a first language, again, it was so much hard, but I loved everything about this book. It is really not just specifically for women, but for anybody who wants to invest in real estate and they want to acquire their first to 7th property. So there is a lot of things on how to pick an area, where to pick an area, how to find a realtor, how do you find a mortgage broker, where do you go, talk about the numbers, the analyzer, everything that you need to kind of know. But the best part about that book is that for every dollar, for every book that's being sold, there is money that's being donated to go help other women in developing countries.
Oh, that's such an incredible way to give
back. It just, that's for me is what made that book is even more special. You know, just thinking there's so many women out there that are trying to also make it in this world, to try and raise their kids just as we are here in Canada that need that. So for me, that's
real estate really can be that tool. It can be that something that really changes people's situation and gets them out of situations. And as long as you have the right mindset and a strong enough why, you could really, this, like I said before, the sky is the limit.
And, you know, hearing your story, I mean, you've come so far. I know you've never sat still probably for a day in your whole entire life. So I'm sure you have a great plan for 2018. Can you share for us what you have up your sleeve? What are you up to next?
I have so many plans, but the one I'm really, I know exactly. The one I'm really excited about is coming out with this mastermind group that I've put together. There's going to be one end of January, and obviously there's going to be more as we move forward, and that is to help people get their first investment property. Because I feel like we could talk all day long about investing and all of that, but if you don't go out and you get your first real estate investment, then it's just a talk and you're not a doer. And just as we said before, just do it, right? So I'm all about doing, so that's what it is.
So it kind of sounds to me like you're linking your arms up with these people and you're really helping them get out from behind the book and the desk and the numbers. And
in the trenches. In the trenches.
I have to jump in. 2018. Market is cyclical. You mentioned it. What are your thoughts in terms of where the real estate cycle is headed?
I feel that real estate investing is going to be amazing no matter what. Even though people always get scared, like, oh my gosh, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, is this, there's a bubble, there is that. But there will always be tenants and rentals, you know. And if you really get on the wagon and you will do the right thing and you do your own due diligence, then you will be okay no matter which way the market, you know, goes up and down and all of that. Because when it goes up, you'll make money, and when you go down, you'll have more people that get out of real estate and they want to rent. So you will always win.
Always opportunities.
You will always win.
We're
Yes.
going to leave it right there on that note. Tahani, thank you so much for sharing your story today and sharing your wisdom with ourselves and our audience. Where could viewers find more about you and this amazing program that you have to offer?
Thank you so much for having me over here. It's been a pleasure. Wow, it went so fast. It's like, oh, I just want to sit here and talk to everybody for so long. Obviously, my website, which will be under here, tahani.ca, or my first investment .ca. And thank you again, ladies. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please stay with us. We'll discuss tips to make money with real estate every month.
The Mothers of Real Estate is sponsored by Streetwise Mortgages, an award-winning mortgage brokerage serving clients across Ontario. Book a complimentary consultation or learn more at streetwisemortgages.com.
Are you thinking about using some of the equity in your home to invest and build wealth? Not sure about the best ways to take out equity or how to utilize it in a strategic way to invest? At Streetwise Mortgages, we can help you understand your equity takeout options and avoid the costly mistakes. Get a step closer to achieving your goals. To book your complimentary consultation, call 1-800-208-6255 or email info@streetwisemortgages.com.
Welcome back. Today we heard the inspirational story of a real estate investor, broker, and developer, Tahani Aburaneh, and talked about the importance of having a strong why and the right mindset to get you your first investment property. Ladies, how amazing and inspirational was Tahani's story?
I love Tahani. Every time I see her, I get even more motivated to keep on doing what I'm doing. I love that she gives back. I love the fact that she's always venturing into new territory to help other women. I just love her.
And I feel like her energy is just so contagious. There's nothing more powerful than have someone at the end of the table going, real estate is an equal opportunity success factor. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a man, it doesn't matter if you're a woman. And she's just such a prime example of someone who can come from the very beginning and like completely catapult up to the top as a woman who came to this country as an immigrant when she was young and was a single mother. I mean, honestly, it's like the perfect success story, isn't it, really?
And even though she had a huge why, and that's what kind of really got her started, the reason for her success and her self-made millionaire status, really it was her ability to run her real estate investment portfolio like a business. And I think that is so important for investors. I mean, whether you have 1 or 100 investment properties, you need to learn to operate this as a business.
It's true, and I don't think you don't need to have 10 to run it as a business. You can have 1 and run it as a business, because I really think that once you treat an investment property in that manner, then all of a sudden you're looking for ways to make more money from it. You just think about it differently when it's not a hobby, if you know what I mean. Like if you look at it like a business, think of it as a business, then it is a business. It's not a hobby or kind of recreation.
But I think it also, part of the reason of looking at it as a business, it has to be somewhat connected to the real reason why you're pursuing it. And I really love the fact that Tahani tied the business side of it with purpose.
Right.
And for me, that's actually quite near and dear, because the strategy that I use, real estate investing, is the rent-to-own strategy. And I always say that it allows me to invest with a purpose. And I love that Tahani does that as well. It is such an amazing feeling to be able to give back and lift people up in the context of doing it as a business.
Right. But because you and Neil went along, you had a very successful investment portfolio based on rent-to-owns, you really did master a system, though, over time.
Absolutely.
And that system translated to a business where you can help other investors invest in rent-to-owns without them having to do it themselves.
Exactly.
Which is fantastic.
You pave the way for other people to piggyback on some of your systems, and then they benefit from that in achieving their financial goals or their personal financial goals. So that's actually a really important point. And if I had to look back, the first thing that I did in acknowledging that this was a business was incorporate.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, I didn't know the significance of it. But of course, almost 10 years later, I'm like, wow, that was a really smart move to do.
Proactive move. And I think for me, the first thing I did that kind of signaled to me that I was treating my rental properties like a business was that I recognized that I kind of need to extract myself from the equation in some respects, like especially with the property management, that I was not going to be the one who was answering the phone at midnight anymore, the tenants and toilets, that I was going to offload that really important job to someone else because my time was more useful to work on the business rather than in the business. And I felt property management kept me too busy doing things that was not a useful use of my time.
Absolutely. And you know what? We always tell our investors that you need to allocate for these costs. In the Confused to Confident course, we show people how to run this as a business. And you take the numbers into account. Now, a contingency fund, one that accounts for vacancy, for repairs, and as well as property management. And I always like to tell people, maybe you're managing your own property now, but always put that extra % in there. Because what if you're not able to manage your properties for maybe a fun reason, like you're traveling around the world, or maybe there's a time period where you can't.
Or you have a baby and you want to take time off to be a stay-at-home mom and you don't want to deal with those pesky tenants.
You don't? You don't want to deal with burst pipes and dirty toilets as a stay-at-home mom?
But the point too at the end of the day is that no one has to reinvent the wheel about how it is to take your one rental property and figure out how to turn it into a business. Our course does that for you. It's about
templates,
the systems, the tracks to follow. No one has to try to make it all up on their own, right?
If you're really not good with math or anything like that, I'm sure you could decipher when the number on the bottom of the screen has a negative and is red after you put all these numbers in.
That's a clue.
You might want to get a new property.
Right. And I loved how Tahani even started out by saying that she was watching what somebody else was doing and she was in awe, and she didn't invent this path. She basically just took a closer look as to what the opportunity was and jumped right in there and followed somebody else's footsteps. What do we always say? Attach your cart.
Hook your cart to someone else's wagon, right? If you see someone who's doing something, like, you don't need to make it up anymore. In this day and age of Google, you can figure out who your mentor, who your aspirational person is, and you can figure out what they're doing too. Two shakes.
I did it. I started off with a mentor. Gillian started off with a mentor, and of course you started off with a mentor.
We started off with a mentor after we went at our own and made every mistake under the sun. So then the mentor really gave us the light. So that's it for today, ladies, believe it or not.
Went too quickly.
Thank you for joining us today. For more information about our online training, please visit mothersofrealestate.com. We'll see you next time.
The Mothers of Real Estate is sponsored by Streetwise Mortgages, an award-winning mortgage brokerage serving clients across Ontario. Book a complimentary consultation or learn more at streetwisemortgages.com.